Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
As we all know, we are fortunate to have Rabbi Dr. Bradley Shavit Artson with us as our scholar in residence throughout the weekend. I know that we've shared so much information about him in the weeks leading up to this weekend, but just to again remind everyone of some of the highlights. Rabbi Artson holds the Abner and Rosalind Goldstein's Dean's Chair of the Ziegler School of Rabbinic Studies, where I attended rabbinical school, and is Vice President of American Jewish University in Los Angeles. Rabbi Artson has long been a passionate advocate for social justice, human dignity, diversity, and inclusion. A member of the philosophy department, he is particularly interested in theology, ethics, and the integration of science and religion. He also serves as Dean of the Zacharias Frankel College in Potsdam, Germany, ordaining conservative rabbis for Europe. A frequent contributor for the Times of Israel and a contributing writer for the Jewish Journal of Greater Los Angeles, he has a public figure Facebook page with over 80,000 likes and followers. Rabbi Artson is the author of 12 books and over 250 articles, most recently, Renewing the Process of Creation, a Jewish Integration of Science and Spirit. This week in particular, as we've all followed the news coming out of Los Angeles, we are particularly grateful to have Rabbi Artson with us. We know it is not easy to leave family behind when there is so much uncertainty taking place in areas near to your own community back home. So we are grateful. We will be grateful in any weekend to have you joining with us for this really special opportunity. But particularly so in this weekend of all weekends, we're so glad that you were able to make the trip and to join us. So please join me in welcoming Rabbi Artson to share some words of Torah with us this evening.
Shabbat Shalom. He's a much nicer guy than I am. This is actually the perfect time to leave Los Angeles. But it does mean I had a whole set of things I was going to give a talk about, and now I can't talk about that because of what's going on, so I want to talk about that. And I will say, I just want to remind you, during the high holidays, you and I and many others talked about who by fire and who by water, and I'm starting to feel it's a little personal. My family's okay. The neighborhood of my home is okay. We are hosting a co-worker of my wife who has lost not only her home and all of her possessions, but her dog perished in the flames. And she wasn't allowed to go back in, obviously, so there was nothing to do. A high school friend of mine lost her entire home. She has an adult child with special needs, and having to try to calm him down when everything he owned was used to, everything that was normal is now gone. We think of these things as happening somewhere else. They don't happen to us, they happen far away. They happen in unfortunate places where we can feel both superior and smug and sympathetic, and then feel good about how sympathetic we feel for those poor, miserable people who live in such a place. But I can't do that because it's my place. I looked out of my office at the school on Thursday, and the window, the sky was like divided in half. Half of the sky was blue, and half of the sky was this death-like sooty black. And it was as if there had been a boundary drawn in the heavens, and it couldn't pass. Next day, driving to the airport, the sun was magnified through the soot that we were all breathing, and I thought I was coming down with some kind of cold or something until I landed and had the bracing air of New Jersey wash it away from me. It's a destination. So what is there to say about this? The same kinds of questions come up in life again and again and again. How could this happen? How is this possible? Where is a sense of meaning or order or justice in all of that. 10,000 homes, schools, businesses, buildings across the Palisades and Pasadena are gone. All those beautiful beachfront homes, the fire crossed over the freeway. There's nothing there. There's nothing there. And of course, we don't like that. We like to think that the world is predictable and controllable. We like to pretend that the world is a morality play. And if we just follow whatever rules it is we're following, then the universe will respond in a certain way. And sometimes, for short periods, that's true. But my friends, this is not a play. And we're not in a script. The universe is inventing itself as it goes. And we are part of an open-ended drama whose conclusion has not been written. So if you walk away from this with a sense of powerlessness, you're getting the wrong message. We can't stop the flames from coming. This is an ancient problem in the Mishnah, one of the founding documents of Rabbinic Judaism, one of my favorite Mishnahs. If you are riding along the road and you see smoke coming up in the neighborhood of your home, very timely Mishnah, isn't it? If you say, "Dear God, please let that not be my home," you have issued what the Mishnah calls tefillat shav, an empty prayer. You can't possibly think you're actually saying to God, "Take that fire, lift it off of my house, and drop it down on that neighbor who never takes their trash in when I want them to." The universe doesn't work that way. The flames don't go after people who have been targeted, the ones who deserve it. We live in a universe with an enormous amount of random activity. And we have monkeyed with it, so that the extreme climate swings that we're now living through have visited themselves in California, just as a few months ago they visited themselves on Florida. Take note, those who would like to make political capital out of the natural suffering of humanity, be warned, because you have a target on your back and it's coming for you at some point too. But here's what I want to focus on. I don't believe that God was in the fire. I don't believe that God was in the devastation and the loss. I don't believe that this is a judgment on the people of California, or people who like beaches, or people who build big homes, or whatever it is that you want to rant about. What I want to focus on, and where I see God's loving hand, is the community has rallied together in an extraordinary way. People all across Los Angeles are housing people. You don't think of refugees and Palisades often in the same sentence, but there you are. We're all housing homeless people from the Palisades. And I've been getting calls, emails, and texts from all across Europe, from Israel, from Uganda, from around the world, and of course across North America. These moments are moments to remember that we think we're alone, but we're not. We live in a fabric of each other. And at its best, that's what Judaism is structured to remind us of. That we come into the world embedded into a tapestry of caring people, and a tradition that, when it works, functions to soften us and to make us more compassionate, more capable of seeing each other and feeling each other. And it is doing that now. Jewish communities all around North America are mobilizing to send support, not just to the Jews in Southern California, but to everybody, just as we do whenever there is a local catastrophe. And that sense of rallying together, that we are all of us called in such moments to grieve, to mourn, but then to roll up our sleeves and to do something about it, that I think is us at our best. So I guess what I want to ask you to do is to do something about it. And unlike many rabbis, I am not right now asking you to reach into your pockets. But who do you know who's living in Southern California that you haven't reached out to yet? You'll never be criticized for calling too many people. There's nothing wrong with calling people who are fine and saying, I was just thinking of you. They'll be happy you did. But I can tell you that for me, the surprising calls, the ones that I wasn't expecting, the people who in the midst of their own suffering, I've been getting calls from Israelis who I will remind you are in the middle of a war, saying, oh my God, it looks so terrible there, what do you need? And what I say to them, and what I will say to you, is what I needed was that call. I needed to remember that we are siblings to each other. We are friends to each other. We are community to each other. So I want you tonight to think about who you know in Southern California who would be pleased to receive your call. That's what you can do for them right now. And to the extent that we are each other's caretakers, we are, I think, living the very best of what our tradition demands of us. Another of my favorite midrashim, an ancient rabbi compared the Jewish people to a lamb. And when asked what he meant by that, he explained that when you strike a lamb in its hoof, it bleats with its mouth. If you hit the ram in the back, it hurts with the front. There's an amazing tradition in that same midrash that when the Jewish people suffer, God cries out, oh my head, oh my head. The feeling of pain, it turns out, is a godlike capacity. We are most divine when we allow ourselves to feel each other's sufferings. So I want you this weekend, as soon as Shabbat ends, who do you know who's waiting for your call? Who doesn't know they're waiting for your call, but your call will be a lifeline for them. And then do the God thing and make the call. Shabbat Shalom.